Oftentimes, we don't hear about great leaders in society, especially African American women. And Callie House is an example. She was an African American woman who was born a slave in 1861. She became an activist and a leader in the Reparations movement. She was inspired from a pamphlet a man was selling in Murfreesboro, Nashville. The pamphlet was called The Plea for the Ex-Slaves. Callie House was also educated on the Constitution and knew the ability to petition the government, and used her knowledge to encourage other free slaves to petition as well. In 1894, she teamed up with Isaiah Dickerson, who was also a former slave. They both organized a national ex-slave mutual relief, bounty, and pension association, which provided relief and service on a local level, while agitating for reparations on a national level. The movement goal was to petition Congress for a bill that would grant reparations for former slave persons, and to provide mutual aid and burial expenses. In 1897, the government was concerned about the association. At this time, the movement had over 300,000 members, which feared the government. As the movement grew, the federal government set up inspectors to watch their meetings, to figure out how they could stop their movement. In 1899, Callie House received a notice from the post office. They had issued a fraud order against her and the organization. The government used mail fraud and postal laws to keep the association from communicating with other members across the country. After, she stepped down from her post as Assistant Secretary of the Ex-Slave Pension Association in 1902, but she continued to organize chapters throughout the South, until the failure of the Alabama Congressman put its reparations legislation in 1903. The repetition movement in Congress lost momentum and the support eroded. After this happened, Callie House hired a lawyer, Cornelius Jones, to sue the Treasury Department for over $68 million cotton tax that was traced to slave labor in Texas. In 1915, they filed a suit in the district court, but the District of Columbia Court of Appeal dismissed the suit, siding with the government immunity. In 1916, the Postmaster General Albert Burleson sought an indictment against Callie House and the officers from the association, charging them for obtaining money from ex-slaves and claiming it as fraudulent, proclaiming pensions and reparations that were forthcoming. Although the evidence was weak, Callie House was charged for mail fraud, resulting a sentence of a year and 1 day in jail, and she served her sentence in Missouri. After her sentence, she went back home in Nashville, and unfortunately died from urine cancer in 1928. As you can see, Callie House was an activist who truly understands what it means to stand for your rights. Even though her movement eventually digressed, the members of her association moved to marcusgarvey's movement.